Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank you very much for the possibility to be a moderator on this panel. As you said, my name is Tomasz Olejnik, and I'm responsible for Central Eastern Europe public sector in AWS. The main goal for this panel, for the discussion with the global leaders like Blackboard, OpenLMS, IntelliBoard, will be discussion about the perspective about education vertical and digital development of the universities. I will try to organize this discussion around 3 pillars. Pillar number 1, it will be about challenges during the last 2 years. All of us know that COVID generated a lot of things, negative things, and impacted daily education and operational processes. So I would think that it would be very good to get a perspective of global leaders, what it means for them, how they respond for the challenges, and what is the learnings from the customers from the unexpected situation. Pillar number 2, it will be more about future. What was the learning and how those learning could be implemented in near future and how they positively surprise us on new functionalities they would like to deploy on their services. And pillar number 3, more about inspiration. Let's discuss a little bit success stories. Let's discuss a little bit projects which were implemented, and let's see how those projects could be replicated to Poland and what kind of benefits our Polish universities could get from those solutions. Now, with great pleasure, let me introduce our panelists, and if you could share with us your name, the role, the key information about your company, about your offerings and cooperation with AWS. Tonya, if we could start from you.
Hello, everyone. Very nice to meet all of you and happy to be here. I am Dr. Tonya Riney, the COO of IntelliBoard, and we provide reporting and analytics for learning systems.
Juan.
Hello. Well, I'm the Regional Vice President for Europe from Blackboard, which is an edtech company serving higher education across the globe with solutions like learning management system, virtual classrooms, accessibility solutions.
And Peter, if you could give us your intro.
Hello, my name is Peter Hirst. I'm based in the UK. I work for an organization called OpenLMS, who are the largest Moodle host in the world.
Thank you very much. As I said at the beginning, the last 2 years, the COVID time was a new business experience for all of us, and education sector was impacted a lot. And you were and you are still on the first line if we think about all the aspects about online education. Could you share with us a little bit your experience from the last 18 months and describe the way how you have supported your customers during unexpected difficult times? Peter, if we could start from you.
Yeah, no problem at all. So our customers have experienced huge growth in the amount of use of their systems. And there's 2 ways to respond to that. One is to sort of charge them more, so try to make as much money as you can when the sun's shining. And another way is to really support them through that process with a view to long-term relationships. So OpenLMS has more than doubled in its size in terms of the number of staff during that 18 months, and also in terms of the number of clients. But what we've done with our existing clients is offer them 50% extra storage and 50% extra users for free. So when they needed us, we supported them. We think that was a really important message to send to our clients, that we're with them for the long term. We're really well connected to AWS. So we've been a SaaS provider of Moodle since 2008, and specifically with AWS since 2011. All of our clients are hosted via AWS. We achieved 5 nines of uptime last year for them. Despite the heavy usage that we had of the systems, we fought really hard to maintain those systems in terms of both their uptime, but also their performance, to make sure all of our clients were accessing systems that were really responsive to their needs and use.
And how you behave on the market during the last 2 years when you tried to solve the existing issues on the education sector?
Tomasz, your audio wasn't clear. Can you share who you would like to answer that question, please?
Juan, sorry for that.
Okay.
Maybe some problem with connectivity.
Okay. So, I believe like I'm going to try to talk also maybe about Poland a little bit, but in general about Europe as well. Like in Poland, like in Europe, the higher education institutions were forced to quickly balance all of their teaching to online, okay, due to the confinement, okay, that was in March 2020. This generated a fast move from normally a face-to-face environment to an online, which implied really an unprecedented usage growth of the EdTech platforms, okay, both, I would say, from Blackboard, I believe it was the same as Peter was mentioning, or to other platforms, okay, like as well as for the analytical tools. Just as an example for us, just during the month of March 2020, the usage of our virtual classroom solution, Blackboard Collaborate, was multiplied by 20. No other service that I know in the internet got such a growth in such a little time, not even in education, but also in general. And then our learning management system doubled the usage as well. So the first thing we did is try to provide, and to thanks to that our systems are based on AWS and our solutions are scalable, we were able to cope with this huge growth. Okay, and that was our first reaction. It's to guarantee that our customers can keep ongoing, can keep with teaching, and despite all the problems. I believe that not everyone was able to do the same, and I believe there were institutions maybe with local solutions that were facing more difficulties, and that's addressing to these other institutions was our second, I would say, phase approach, okay, in trying to help institutions that maybe they were not able because they didn't have or they were not relying on modern teaching and learning solutions like those represented in this panel, to be able to quickly move to these type of environments.
Thank you. Tonya, if you could continue with IntelliBoard, what was your lesson? How you respond on the market?
What was interesting before COVID is that there was not a demand, an organic demand from institutions about or for reporting and analytics. And during COVID, that changed radically because everyone now needs reporting and analytics from both the learning management system as well as the student information system, and that data combined. So really, that was the most significant change for us, and our growth since that time has really been exponential. I believe we had, I don't know, I can't even remember, maybe 25, 30 people. We're a pretty small company pre-COVID, and now we have 130 people. So that was fun. But
impressive.
Yeah, it was very interesting. But yeah, it's really about the demand inside the system itself and for the reporting and analytics.
Can you tell why you decided to develop your service using AWS Cloud and not standard on-premise solution, and what is the main benefit for the customers from such approach during the COVID time and just for the future as well? Why cloud?
Would you like me to begin?
Yes, if you could continue, Tonya.
Okay. I will, thank you. Easy answer, actually, because a cloud solution, so IntelliBoard is and does build responses to client demand. Our platform was built basically about 75% of the reports that we have were built on client demand. And because of that, we were pre-COVID introducing platform updates approximately every 2 to 3 weeks continuously. Everything that our clients wanted, we were building it and pushing it out to the system. Being hosted on AWS makes that incredibly easy for us to do, because then we can update the platform. Our folks access the platform through the cloud, and they are not necessarily impacted by the updates that we continue to push out. And this is how we will do it moving forward. We do offer an on-prem solution. However, with the constant growth and the development, especially as we are about to offer our new platform, IntelliBoard Next, because of the constant growth and development of the platform, an on-premise solution, while delightful, does require a bit more maintenance than an AWS or in the cloud solution.
Thank you, Tonya. Very similar question to Peter. Peter, you know that most of the Polish universities has experience with Moodle on premise, and OpenLMS is focused a lot on migration of Moodle from the existing servers to AWS cloud. What is the advantage for your clients from such approach, and how to start the process? If you could advise a little bit how to start with the cloud, Moodle of cloud, how to build the process and be sure that online education in the cloud is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you very much. Another great question. So the cloud just enables levels of performance that are impossible without spending huge amounts of money and hosting locally. From our perspective, we enjoy an economy of scale by having all of our clients sharing the same code base. That means that we can provide them with very low costs and amazing levels of service. When one user in the Far East is using the system, another user in America isn't, and we balance the load across multiple clients like that. We provide 24/7, 365 days support to help them when they come across problems. We manage their updates centrally, so we test every single line of Moodle's code every time they release it, and we only release it to our clients when we're very, very confident it works really, really well. And Amazon helps us to do that by always being on, having amazing backup, having amazing data security, just providing a level of service it's impossible to match. In terms of how they could go about moving, it's really, really easy. We hold their hand through the entire process. We pick up and take their data. Because it's Moodle to Moodle, you're not changing systems. You've already built up a level of understanding about how it works. Just simply moving over to our system is relatively straightforward. It lets you enjoy all the benefits of being part of a global community of educators that Moodle brings. It means you've got multiple points of innovation, people all over the world developing on the same platform as you. And the level of security we offer is to test all of that and make sure it's going to work within your system, and test it every year and continuously. And we've got whole teams dedicated to doing that. And because the costs shared across so many clients, it means that you're getting the very best level of testing without needing to do it yourselves. So, if you can imagine 50 different universities, all self-hosting Moodle, all individually testing and finding the same problems and resolving them, and spending all of that time doing that, we do it once for all of them. We can do that much more cost effectively.
Thank you. And Juan, if you could add a little bit from Blackboard perspective, why currently software as a service model is your first approach, and what are the benefits for the customers? What was recognized by the Blackboard during the COVID time, and how you would like to continue with software as a service?
Okay, so as you mentioned, so in Blackboard, the first option, and when we have more customers, is on a software as a service platform. Okay, so this decision comes from a number of years ago when we decided to move all of our solutions to be on a software as a service model. And that's the moment where we choose the AWS as our infrastructure provider. Okay, software as a service is honestly the best option to offer a great service to our customers based on the support they are going to have, the availability, the reliability, scalability. It helps us to bring this continuous delivery, to have, a very, very, very high uptime, and to have elasticity. All these parameters, okay, that pushed us to adopt the SaaS a number of years ago have been a real big benefit to our customers during the pandemic, because as I was explaining before, the level of usage has really grown very, very fast. And having our platforms based on software as a service in AWS helped us to face this, I would say, incredible growth of usage. Okay, and then the customers didn't face what maybe some institutions or other universities with local systems, they didn't face the problems about slow response time or not enough storage or not enough bandwidth. Okay, so the customers that were using our platforms could focus really on teaching, which is the main, I would say, objective of a university is the teaching, and not to be worrying about the underlying, I will say, problems about the solutions, the platforms, the infrastructure, the capacity, etc. I know that many universities, for example, faced huge challenges, for example, during online exams, because they were not able to cope with so many students accessing at the same time, in the same moment, in the same minute, the system. That's what solutions, I would say, modern solutions help you to do, and those modern solutions like Blackboard are all based in a software as a service platform, in our case with AWS.
Thank you. Let's jump in a little bit to the future. And Tonya, question to you. Thanks to IntelliBoard, we are able to better understand the past. We can measure and compare the outcomes, analyze our effectiveness. What about future? What would be the next step? How data could help universities to predict the future? What kind of services and AI models you would like to introduce or already have on your platform, which could be very beneficial for the universities in Poland?
How much time do we have? I could talk forever on this topic.
Tonya, I know. Let's spend 4 minutes. Let's maybe 4 minutes.
No. Okay, I like to talk really fast. So obviously the past is what predicts the future, right? Because whatever happened in the past, for instance, for a student, right? How a student is performing in a particular set of courses indicates, it doesn't predict, right? But it indicates possible performance for future courses. The behavior of a student in terms of attendance, the behavior of a student in regards to how much time is being spent inside the platform. All of these things are providing correlative evidence for how that student is going to perform. And then when you look at a macro level view, right, we begin to identify trends within an institution. For example, how students are performing in a department of classes, right, in a major, how students who have a particular focus, for instance, I always use how art students perform in business courses and how business courses or business students perform in art courses, where now you can identify very easily where interventions need to take place and anticipate before it happens where challenges may occur, right? And I know that earlier in the LUMEN conference, they were talking about EU funding, right? Most institutions globally are funded in some particular way by government dollars or organizational dollars. And that has everything to do, that funding is almost always contingent upon the number of students who are either attending successful, however that's defined, right? And all of those things contribute to a university's growth. So if you cannot see the data that is leading you to your expected growth, that is a huge problem for a university, right? You need all of that data to understand how your instructors, your professors are contributing to learning outcomes. You need to know that your students are completing learning outcomes, right? Because all of this ultimately ends up in dollars. So from a futuristic point of view, our goal is to pull all of the data together, learning management system data, SIS data, Zoom data, for example, Kaltura, all of these platforms to create a very comprehensive picture of what the future looks like.
Tonya, thank you very much for a big inspiration. Thank you. And you made it 5 minutes. Great achievement.
I was 1 minute over.
Okay. Juan, if you could tell us a little bit about Blackboard, about near future, how you surprise positively the market, what kind of a new features or new functionality you will introduce, and what kind of benefits it will bring for the customers, especially in Poland.
Okay, so what we are doing right now, okay, because we are coming, and I believe there was like a joke during the pandemic, okay, so what has done more for the digital transformation of universities, and if it was the CIO, the president of the university, or the pandemic, okay, so I believe that during the last 18 months, the pandemic has helped or support many institutions to do this step into the digitalization of the university, including the teaching and learning, which is what we are talking right now. Okay. Having said that, after this first, I would say, wave or several waves of the pandemic, what we are right now focused, it's on what many of the universities are focused. Okay, so they've been able to cope better or worse with this pandemic, and they've seen that universities cannot be built or cannot rely the teaching and learning in just a face-to-face and on I would say with a teacher giving the lessons or the on a face-to-face. Okay, so that all the process needs to be digitized. And that's what we are right now focusing. It's in supporting the institutions to easily adopt modern teaching and learning platforms, which is something that goes beyond the single learning management system. It implies many components: learning management system, virtual classrooms. We need learning analytics. We need the content that professors load to be accessible for everyone. Okay, so there's different components. What we are providing from Blackboard is an holistic view with an approach based on a platform where all the different components are seamlessly integrated. Not only the components that we at Blackboard provide, and we provide several of these pieces, but as well with an easy integration with different other solutions. And that's in order to offer to the students and to the professors and to the university administration a single view with a unified user experience, and that all decisions can be made based on data. Okay, so in the past we've seen that many of the decisions that are taken in many of the education organizations sometimes have been relying on assumptions or on what a director of a department or a professor were thinking, but not based on data. Once we have everything which is digitized, the decision can be started to be taken based on data and to bring different enhancement at the multiple levels in the institution. And that's our focus. It's to provide a easy way to get into this new, I will say, environments for the universities on a digitized environment with a unified platform, with a unified user experience, facilitating the day-to-day job of professors, students, and trying to offer the best benefit for the university.
Thank you. And Peter, what is your vision? How you would like to support future? What will be the feature you will be surprised for us, or what kind of approach you would like to position on the Polish market?
Yeah, the conversation does sometimes get led by the idea of features, but we're much more around service. So we don't charge any sort of license fee to any of our clients. Our clients can, independent of the contract, leave whenever they want. And we're only selling them a service. We're only helping them to get the most out of the most widely used LMS in the world, in Moodle. I mean, open source is running the world. 70% of all websites are hosted on Linux, and WordPress accounts for, I think it's about 60% of all CMS systems and about 40% of all websites. Android accounts for 70% of all smartphones, and Moodle's used by something like 60-70% of all higher education institutions in the world. Open source is here to stay. It allows you to do a whole host of things. It allows you to grow, to adapt without compromising stability. There's endless design possibilities. You can change the theme if you don't like it. You can change and add plugins, proper interoperability, not just light touch LTI type integrations. You can go really deep with Moodle. It's agile, it's innovative. If you're on Moodle, you're on the best system available. There's universal access to it. There's no, as I say, no license fee to pay. It's your software, it's your choice. All we're offering is a framework in which to modernize it, to make it available, to make sure the uptime's there, to make sure it runs really smoothly for your users, and to help you get the most out of it through our community. We're all about service. Our clients can leave whenever they want. Those that are on our managed hosting version, something like 99% of them stay there. They don't leave to go to other Moodle hosts because the level of service that we provide is second to none, 24/7, 365. It's unlimited. We're here to help you, and we think that dealing with people in the best possible way, honest, straightforward, is the best way to do business.
Thank you. And knowing that we have some time limitation, let's jump in for the success stories, advice, call to action. If each of you could share the success story, something what could inspire our audience and could be replicated in Poland. And if you could add one advice, how to start, how to be more digitalized, how to discuss the digitalization journey with you, could be additional benefit. Tonya, if we could start from you.
We have so many success stories which have been absolutely delightful. I will speak to a university in the United States who, at the beginning of COVID, in March of 2020, face an incredible retention challenge, because that was obviously when everyone shifted to an online environment very quickly. Students who were not accustomed to an online environment were obviously confused, disrupted, and struggling. And so this university, who was using IntelliBoard, ended up keeping or retaining approximately $1.5 million worth of revenue by scooping up those students at risk and creating an intervention to be able to keep them enrolled and to keep them focused, even though this is ultimately it was a new way of going to school, of taking courses. So, and we have so many different stories like that, especially around COVID, but even without COVID's impact, retention is huge. We also have stories of where it's very easy, because of the reporting, to identify from an appreciative inquiry point of view right? What is working? Right? So if we can identify a particular course that uses particular activities and students have a lot of time and a lot of activity, otherwise known as clicks, inside of the course, we can identify that course very easily, evaluate it, and then apply those success principles across many other courses. And it's delightful to see that. It is delightful to see that in action. And it's so exciting, and it never gets boring for me. And I am so happy to see when, just as you had said, Tomasz, that the data is driving, and Juan said this too, right? The data can drive what needs to happen inside of the learning environment. And so from that perspective, it's absolutely beautiful. So anyone can take this data because it's so comprehensive and save money, make money, use tools effectively, make learning better. And that's what it's all about.
Thank you, Tonya. Peter, if you could give us your success story, what is it?
Thank you. I'm hoping I'm allowed to, and I'll speak quickly about them both. But we worked with an organization called CRUE in Spain. 20 universities were self-hosting Moodle. They were very worried about particularly quizzes. So quizzes are quite a high energy part of Moodle, and they wanted to make sure that their systems were going to be resilient. So within a couple of weeks, we had OpenLMS instances available. We enabled them to move quizzes over to our infrastructure. It's on Amazon, it's scalable, it's reliable. They could run all of these exams without fear of failure or fear of the system running slowly for other users. Huge turnaround, very, very quick, massive project, hugely successful. Just took all of the stress from those institutions. And a similar but slightly different story in Colombia with ICFES, which is a global exam, and they became the first country to run all of their global exams. It's a 5-hour exam, paper-based, very, very intense. They couldn't run those during COVID. They came to us. We managed to pivot over 300,000 exams online, and they were instantaneous as well. All of those exams happening over a couple of days last year. We're doing the same project with them this year because of how successful that was. We can move quickly. We can move people, especially those using Moodle, over to a really reliable, very performant system with amazing levels of support.
Thank you very much. And Juan, if you could share your story, which could inspire our audience, and maybe we could replicate this in Poland.
Okay, so I'm going to go with a story. It started 2-3 years before the COVID, okay? But then I believe that the big impact was during the COVID situation. Okay, so that's a small university. I'm going to use, since I am from Spain, a Spanish case. It's a small university in Avila, which is a city some 100 kilometers from Madrid. So imagine a small city with their own university, and then at just 100 kilometers, you have the capital with several public universities, with many as well private universities. It was a fair competition, and this university in Avila was losing students year after year, okay, attracted by larger universities or by private universities from the capital. So when they were just even below 1,000 students, they decided to do a big bet into the future and to start a true digital transformation. They decided that the only way that the university could survive is to really to compete in having the best possible platforms to the students, for the teachers, and to not only try to grow back into the face-to-face, but as well start growing with mixed programs, with hybrid programs, and with online programs. Well, this university, they did, I would say, the homework. They embraced and they started working with Blackboard, but as well with some other solution providers. And today they are a fully digitized university, despite they still give face-to-face courses, hybrid courses, blended learning courses, etc. So when the pandemic came and being already fully transformed, they not only were decreasing, but they were able to grow. And just right now, it's going to be some 5 years after they started this digital transformation. And I was mentioning they had around 1,000 students. Today, they have more than 8,000 students and growing. And it's a real good example of how really a university needs to get transformed. And the only way to compete into this new environment is to work on, to have the full processes in the teaching and learning digitized, despite that the main way of delivering courses is going to be face-to-face. Okay, that shows really, and sometimes I use the analogy. So this digital transformation, it's the only way to move forward, because if we use the Maslow example, okay, the Maslow hierarchy of needs, if a university is focusing on the bottom, on the servers, on the electricity, whatever, on the software, on the open source software, or on the self-developed software, or from commercialized software, but if I'm focusing there, I'm not focusing on what it's really important for a university, which is the success of its students, that the professors can easily deliver classrooms, and they cannot really get all these data that comes from the different processes running. Okay, so that's why it's so important to move into this digital transformation today, and that's what we are offering. And I believe in the previous talk, Magda was proposing this pilot that we are offering to all Polish universities, okay, in order to move into this digital transformation with all the support from Blackboard and PCG.
Thank you, Juan. And on this moment of time, I would like to say big thank you to all our panelists for your openness and inspiration. And of course, if anybody from the audience would like to have a deeper discussion with us, with any global provider like IntelliBoard, OpenLMS, Blackboard, please contact PCG Academia. They cooperate with all of them. And of course, we are very open to support future discussion, organize some business and technical meetings and POC if necessary. So thank you very much and have a nice afternoon.